everyone, welcome to Spice Route once again, and today we are bringing you a very iconic Punjabi dish, the chana masala, or otherwise known as chole. In certain parts of India it is known as gugni as well. What we are going to make here is going to be made with the green chana. So you have the black chana, you have the green chana, and you also have the Kabuli white chana as well. You can make this recipe with any of those. We like the green chana. We had some of that in the freezer, so we're going to be making it with the green chana. And also we are making it with the Insta pot. Having said that, you can make this in the pressure cooker as well. The Instant Pot is again a one pot solution to make all of these curries, but making it in the pressure cooker also helps. What we've done right now is we've switched on the Instant Pot in the saute mode, and I'm going to be adding some oil to it, and while the oil heats up I will explain the ingredients to you. Oil is about 2 teaspoons of oil. The ingredients that we have right here for you are I'll start with the spices. The spices are, we have the khada garam masala, or otherwise the elaichi, cardamom, cloves, some cinnamon, some bay leaves. We have turmeric powder, we have red chili powder, this is the spicy kind. We have the coriander powder, and we have the chana masala powder. We have the Kashmiri red chili powder, which just adds color. And then here we have some ginger garlic paste. We also have some jeera or cumin seeds here. We have some hing, which is also used in the spices here. And we have salt to taste. For the main ingredients, we have finely chopped onions, diced potatoes, which are kind of large. We have the frozen green, the green chana. We have some diced tomatoes here. We have a cup of yogurt that has been whisked, juice of half a lime, finely chopped mint, and finely chopped coriander. I am also adding about a teaspoonful of ghee in this. Ghee adds a lot of flavor to the chana, and it's good to add here because otherwise a lot of times people add it at the end. We are adding it at the beginning because we're cooking it in the Instapot. If you're cooking it in the pressure cooker as well, you're more than welcome to add it in the very beginning itself. Now that the oil and ghee mixture is hot, I'm adding about half a teaspoon of jeera into this. Let the jeera splutter just a little bit, and to that I also add about a quarter teaspoon or less, or 1/8 teaspoon of hing or asafoetida. Let the asafoetida also get fried a little bit. To this I add some of the dry spices, mainly the cinnamon, the 2 bay leaves I have, the elaichi, and the cloves. Fry it just a little bit. You'd notice that I haven't added too much oil to this mix. It's probably about 2.5 teaspoons of total oil. And at this point, the first thing that we add into this mix is the finely chopped onions. And what I typically end up doing when I cook the onions is I also add the ginger garlic paste along with the onions. Some people prefer to cook the onions until they're brown and then add the ginger garlic paste. For the chana, I do not care as much about it. I just put the ginger garlic paste so that it cooks along with the onions. I also always add about a teaspoon of salt in order to help the onion cook faster, and give that a stir and allow the Instant Pot saute mode to do its magic for maybe about 5 minutes or so. and we will see this in about 5 minutes how it looks like. All right, folks, it's about 7 minutes now. The onions have turned mostly translucent. This is the point where we add all the dry spices that are here in my plate. I will again explain what we have. We have about a quarter teaspoon of turmeric, about half a teaspoon of the spicy red chili powder, about 1 teaspoon of the chana or chole masala powder. This is the MDH brand that I'm using. We have about 1.5 teaspoons of Kashmiri red chili powder and half a teaspoon of coriander powder here. And all I'm going to do right now is basically put all of it into our onion mixture, and this is going to get cooked along with the onions. And what we need to do in order for the spices not to burn is to add about a touch of water. I would say about 2 to 3 spoons of water into it, and just allow it to cook once again. And this way we avoid the spices to be burning in the Instant Pot. I would let this go for about 3 more minutes, and then I would add my tomatoes to it, and we will look at how it looks in about 3 minutes from now. I have cooked the onions with the spices for about 3 minutes. Just so you know, I'm not waiting for the oil to start oozing out at this point. First of all, we have very little oil, and so as soon as it's cooked for about 3 minutes or so, I'm going to be adding about 5 finely chopped small Roma tomatoes here. If you're using medium tomatoes, use about 3. Large tomatoes, about 2 is good enough. And I add the tomatoes, and at this point, again, I have to let the tomatoes render down and get cooked really well in the Instant Pot. This process would take about, I would say, 7 to 10 more minutes, and we will see how it looks in about 7 minutes from now. All right, folks, it's been about 10 minutes, and all of the tomatoes, if you look at it, have started cooking very well. It's almost mashed. This is the point when we add a couple of ingredients that you don't normally see in chole or chana masala. A lot of people do use it, but it is not very common. And the first ingredient in that is finely chopped mint leaves. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put it directly in here. And along with the mint, I am going to add an ingredient that is not very common. It is basically yogurt. And what I've done is I have beaten the yogurt so that there are no lumps in the yogurt, and it will not curdle up in this mix. And I'm going to add the yogurt into the Instant Pot. The yogurt also adds a little bit of sourness to the chana, which, by the way, will also be added by the lime juice that I had mentioned earlier. Now, as soon as you add the yogurt, you need to mix it up vigorously into the gravy that has been created. What we are going to do at this point is render this down for maybe just 3 or 4 minutes, not more than that, so that we know that the yogurt is mixed very well. And at that time, add the rest of the ingredients and seal the Instant Pot for it to cook to the end. So you see that the yogurt has gotten mixed up pretty well, and we will now hold tight for about 3 minutes. I'll see you all in about 3 minutes. All right, everyone, we are almost at the last step before letting the Instant Pot do its magic. If you're cooking with a pressure cooker as well, this is pretty much the same step you're going to follow until you're going to put the pressure on the lid and let it cook. And I'll tell you how many whistles you'll have to leave in the pressure cooker and how it works in the Instant Pot. At this point, what we do is we add all of the chana into the mix right there. We do that, and then there is also some potatoes. The potatoes add body to the chana. That's typically the purpose of adding the potatoes. Otherwise, the gravy becomes very thin. So we add the potatoes, and eventually we'll also mash up a few of the potatoes into the gravy. So the potatoes are in. so is the lime juice, which is about juice of half a lime right there. And I add that as well, adds a lot of sourness to it. This is the point when I start adding the salt. And if you look at it, I am going to be adding approximately 2 teaspoons of salt into this. In this small spoon, that's about 4, and I've added those. And what I do, give this a mix. I also have to add a little bit of water in order for this to cook well and leave a little bit of a gravy. I am going to be adding about a cup of water into it. And at this point, I think the cup of water is good enough because you will notice that there's a lot of water that comes out of this gravy eventually as well. So let's see the next step as well. So at this point, what we do is that you would notice that the only thing that we have not added is the cilantro or the coriander leaves. That is the one thing that we'll add after we open up the Instant Pot eventually. We now seal the Instant Pot, and what we do is the Instant Pot is typically put in sealing. I am going to cancel out the setting for the saute mode and move to the pressure cooker mode. And I typically like my chana soft, so I go for about 15 minutes on the chana and I start my Instant Pot. If at this point you're using a pressure cooker, I would suggest that you leave this for about 5 whistles, and that will be equivalent to about 15 minutes in the Instant Pot, and it will cook really well. So I will see you right after the Instant Pot is opened. Alright, so the Instant Pot is now at off and we're going to open it. Let's look at how it has turned out. Alright, you do notice that a lot of the oil has actually come up now. What we have to do at this point is to add the cilantro to this. And once we add the cilantro, we put it in saute mode. And we're going to just cook it for probably about 3-4 minutes, and that's it. And in the process, I'm going to basically break a few of the potatoes to thicken up the gravy, and that's pretty much not all of it, just maybe 2 or 3, and that will thicken up the gravy as well. Just notice that this is not a thin gravy. This is supposed to be a thick gravy like the way it is right now. It is pretty much done at this moment. Just leave it for maybe 2-3 minutes and the chana is ready to be served. I will take I'm not very good at taking this and plating all of that. We were a home cooking show, so we want to make sure that it looks exactly like how it is going to be when you're cooking at home. So this, folks, is the kala chane ke chole made in the Punjabi style. Green chane ke chole made in the Punjabi style, and you will basically enjoy this dish along with either rotis or even rice, or just as it is with onions. So enjoy. Thank you.